Am I the astronaut for not giving my stepdaughter an inheritance? My 32 female husband passed away earlier this year. Our children, 6 female, 3 male, and I inherited his entire estate, which in total is worth almost $1 million. When he was in high school, my husband had a child, 16 female, with his girlfriend at that time. He broke up with his girlfriend once he found out that she was pregnant, saying he wasn't ready to be a father yet. He visited her maybe once every few years when he was alive. My stepdaughter and her mother are very poor. They have struggled financially ever since my husband's death, as they no longer receive child support. They're struggling to pay rent and risk getting evicted. My stepdaughter reached out to me begging for her share of the inheritance. I feel bad for her, but my husband clearly stated in his will that he wanted to leave his estate to me and my children only. I barely even know my stepdaughter, and I don't think it's my responsibility to take care of her. She's furious with me, calling me a heartless gold digger and saying that giving her money was the least I could do to make up for years of neglect. Am I the astronaut here? Top comments, let me go into that first. Top comments, it says a lot about your character that you went along with a neglectful deadbeat and still carry that torch of negligence even after his death. I hope you don't have the nerve to delude yourself into believing that your husband was a good person and a good father. In different circumstances, he could have abandoned your children like he did her through no fault of their own. Depending on where you live, his will might be irrelevant. If he never paid child support, his first BM might be able to sue his estate for back payment. Or stepdaughter might herself be entitled to a proportional share of inheritance. You're the asshole. Another comment here. Him just paying his child support obligation puts him above average. This is a subreddit about assholes, though not about meeting the minimum legal obligations. I don't know why so many people seem to conflate legality with morality. This mother owes her children's half-sister nothing legally. However, I think it's pretty obviously immoral to deny her even a pittance from $1 million estate when it is going to demonstrably damage the life of a minor child who was related to the decedent. And it puts him in pretty firm asshole territory if he really believed that she shouldn't be provided for at all upon his early death. That's not just me, right? It's not just a big words thing. It was just written in a very tricky way. Moreover, OP might actually not be legally clear either. A casual Google search seems to indicate that the estate might have some responsibility to pay out child support even after the non-custodial parent is deceased. See, but we're back to legality now. We're back to legality. So, like, I like the explanation here that legality and morality are not the same thing. They're not. Neither is religion and morality. Like, they're different things, right? So I think you've got some different classifications here. So if he just decided that he didn't want to be a father, yeah, I mean, how I initially felt about this story was that was his decision. It was his decision to do what he did back then, which was I don't agree with, and I don't think it's right to not be involved with her life at all. But that was on him. And it was also on him to write in his will that he didn't include her. It is not OP's responsibility unless there is some legal obligation that we don't know about. It's not OP's responsibility. Now, that's the legal side. The moral side is if you were in this position or if your child was in this position, wouldn't you hope that there's a DFHB that can help the situation? There's also a part of me that is like, this child is 16 years old. There's a very, 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 very strong likelihood that her mom is behind all of this, is behind the request, is behind the begging. She is probably prompting all of that to happen from the 16-year-old girl, which is not fair either. It's not an easy situation. I think that the feel-good thing to do is obviously to help her out. That is the feel-good thing to do. Also, like on the math side of things, look, if his estate and if what they had, let's say if it's $1 million that is left to them, that is not like, hey, here's $1 million on top of all the stuff that you're already going to get for the rest of your life. That is $1 million to replace this person ever for life. So they now have to like completely rearrange their lives. And yes, $1 million is a lot of money, but if they now no longer have the main breadwinner's income for life, that has to be taken into consideration too. The moral right thing to do for me is to help her out. The legal obligation it doesn't sound like it's likely for them to have a case there, or maybe they would, but it was his choice. It's not OP's responsibility. How do they know for sure that he's the father? We don't know that either. There's the difference between being entitled and begging for money for basic living expenses. That's true. Yeah, if they were not in a pickle and this was happening, it would be a different story, right? And we'd be having a different conversation. If mom and stepdaughter were doing well and this was happening, then we could talk about entitlement. It's not entitlement at this point. It's survival at this point. And on the child support side of things, she's 16. It's only going to last 2 more years. But if they're no longer going to receive that because he's gone, then they're getting hit too. They were getting child support until he passed. So Diane, there's an idea. At the bare minimum, paying the 2 years worth of child support up front from that amount is fair. That's what's fair. Now, if you wanted to be a good person, you could do more than that. Social Security, that's is probably going to go to his. I don't know. There are the bureaucratic side of things may be able to help them out, but it's going to take time, and the process to getting there is going to be painful. There is a way where they can get help right now. OP just doesn't want to do it.